First of all, I want to take a minute to echo what Mr. Justin said with our city staff, Public Works, water plant, wastewater plant, public safety. I had a number of individuals out working during the storm and after the storm, and just did a fantastic job. And particularly, just want to express my appreciation to Public Works and all the work that goes in working literally around the clock to clear the snow. So thank you very much. A few upcoming meetings. First, as BB alluded, next Tuesday at 6:30 we'll have a call meeting for presentation and acceptance of the audit. And then on Friday, December 21st at noon, we'll have our staff council Christmas luncheon at the Cafe, and we've added a special performance by the Salvation Army Brass Ensemble. As a reminder, on January 1st, we will have the January work session canceled, unless council does choose to meet. And then to be determined, we again recommend a council staff budget planning session and a joint budget planning session with the Allegheny County Board of Supervisors. Any questions on upcoming meetings? To give you some quick project updates. First, staff understands from the Bluff Project contractor that the roadway closure should take place in March 2019, which is later than originally anticipated. So that's been moved back a few months. So,
I know with the weather, but up to this point, despite the weather, has work just stopped until then, or? I haven't seen anything except they've been piddling around
They've been busy with the utility work.
Okay.
And that's what has taken a large amount of time.
Okay.
And and thanks to staff, our staff has worked with them in where we want to tap right there at Walmart and all that good stuff. So that's been the length of the project so far, is just the utility work. And working, I should say, with and around and against Columbia Gas. They've been a real challenge for us.
yeah. Second of all, and I apologize for springing this on council, but we were just presented this on Friday, have a small window of opportunity for submitting a part of our grant application. But as I've indicated in previous couple meetings, Matter and Craig, they've been working on our grant application for the Rayon Bridge, and they're recommending as part of our application for the 2020 local state of good bridge program for rehabilitation of the Rayon Bridge, that the city commit up to $350,000 for engineering costs for the project. If the grant funding is awarded, no formal resolution is required. Engineer is optimistic that the city is in a favorable position to receive grant funding for the total replacement of the bridge. And he also indicated with total replacement of the bridge, we're looking at a closure of up to 1.5 years. But he does feel like we're in pretty good position for the grant funds. The thing that you're aware is extremely competitive, but we seem to be in pretty good position in our district, either for maybe, I hope, if not next year, then the year after. But the engineer did seem to think if we did, there's no required match, so there's no commitment here, but if the city would commit to participate in the project, and they recommended again to cover the engineering costs, that we would be in a much better competitive position with VDOT. And again, there's no formal resolution on this, and I hate to spring this on you, but I do need thoughts from council in terms of how to proceed with this, because I believe the application window closes next week, I believe, and we were informed on Friday that this was a suggestion of the engineer. And again, this would be a project over a couple fiscal years, so it wouldn't come as a one-time payment. And really, the work wouldn't begin in earnest until the 2019-20 operating budget.
So if we're not doing a formal resolution, what do you need from us?
I just need
consensus, a vote?
Just consensus, please. The mayor and I had discussed it, felt like it would put the city in a much competitive position.
It's got to be fixed.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you don't have any choices on.
Yeah.
And this is probably the best option we've got right now, so I'm fine.
Okay.
It's a $3.5 million project, so it's a small percentage of that, you know, and it's much better to put up 10% than to have to fund the whole thing and go out and get some, and borrow the money for this. So if we can't get the money for this, as the mayor said, it has to be fixed, and we have no choice, and my next recommendation will be to borrow the funds to get it replaced.
Chad spoke that thing, he was with VDOT about an hour and a half ago, and he got a hold of me, and as Mr. Douglas explained, it was some favorable conversation. The replacement, to replace the Rayon Bridge, would have been close to 80% of new construction, so replacement goes right out the window. And but it will be new piers, the whole 10 yards. I mean, a total brand new facility. And then the engineering, they're 10 to 15% of the cost, and that's where the $300,000 to $350,000 was at. So
I'm good with it. It sounds like this is the best opportunity we're going to have right now.
Yeah.
And again, there's a formal commitment, I mean, if it's awarded, then, but as I like to do with any grant application, I like for you to be aware and in support of any match, and so that's why, again, I apologize for bringing to you this short notice.
Would there be a chance we would even know by budget time if we were awarded, so we don't have to worry about this even for next budget?
I don't know, I wouldn't see that.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I would be very surprised.
Okay. While we're talking about this, I think logistically we need to start thinking about traffic. If that bridge will be closed for a year and a half, that intersection at Edgeline and Carpenter is already a mess. And we almost have to have traffic light there to handle that traffic. I can't see it working very well.
Right.
I know that's going to be something too. That's another hard fix, just a bad location to try to put a traffic light. I don't see any other options there. Logistically, we need to be planning now for how we're going to handle the traffic. It's already a bunch of traffic over there. With the schools, trucking companies.
Okay.
So, since councils, keep moving forward? Keep moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on with our other transportation-related grant application. CHA has submitted an application to VDOT for the 2020 State of Good Repair Primary Paving Program for the remainder of Allegheny Avenue. I'm sure everyone's aware we finished up all of our other paving for this year with that. They will also resubmit a funding application to VDOT for Thacker Avenue walkway improvements after determining that incorrect land use information was used in the application reviewed by VDOT staff. So we had a good discussion with them, and they are, I think it's going to be much more favorable to them once they realize that there's a connection to a shopping center and not an industrial park.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show sometimes signals get crossed. It was no error on staff or the consultant's part. It was purely VDOT staff using those maps and
Really old.
so, but anyway, we do plan to resubmit those shortly for that grant funding. And then finally, CHA is planning on the bidding of construction of Maple Avenue Phase 2 within the next couple of months. They're finishing up some utility issues there. We had all the documents signed with VDOT, and we're just waiting for their go-ahead to move forward. Any questions on those three projects?
When you did the smart scale money on the Allegheny Avenue, what kind of rating does that have on it? Worse than it was? Did that?
I know the engineer submitted pictures and other information in support. If they go strictly by the rating, then it's probably not going to be probably not going to have a better outcome, but we're hoping they will take a look at it. I've requested they come out, the engineer has, Mr. Dressler has, and so hopefully they will come and take a different look at it. You all seen it and know how poor condition it's in. So. Okay, moving on. For our police department accreditation, we have representatives of Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services here for 3 days to to do an on-site evaluation of the police department operations. That's the initial review for the law enforcement accreditation through the Virginia Law Enforcement Professional Standards Commission. One requirement for accreditation that we will need to make is building-related improvements, securing. It's something that is doable, and we expect to get done here within the next month or so. So very favorable moving forward with the accreditation process. Next, staff intends to advertise an RFP for health insurance services in January. It's currently working with an insurance consultant to develop this RFP. I want you to know we've invited the school system to participate in this process so we can try to get the best health insurance for our employees, as well as to reduce their costs. As you know, this has become a very difficult item to manage for both us and the school system. So we're optimistic we can get some favorable results from another source. Staff intends to schedule a neighborhood meeting for the Jackson Street CDBG project in late January to assess interest and need for housing rehabilitation. Of course, this is part of our overall CDBG application process. We found out from DHCD staff that we need some significant interest expressed by the residents in the area of housing to go along with other infrastructure needs. So it'll be important to get the word out to folks once we get a date set after the holidays and try to get some good data to show the DHCD. And then in lieu of having our work session in January, I provided a list of some of our projects and items I anticipate coming up for the January agenda. We hope to get the agreement with Hope finalized for demolition of properties on Allegheny and Cherry. We are trying to finalize the wastewater consent order approval with DEQ, and then to go along with that, funding appropriation for the equalization tank engineering work. DEQ, I think, expects us to move forward in our construction process without having the consent order finalized. So we're anxious to get that thing put to bed sooner than later. Next, hopefully we'll have a proposal on our police department 911 mapping record management software, and then a request for some utility dollars for the CDBG preliminary engineering report, and then finally our updated towing contract that we finalized today. So those are items for January. And lastly, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and just remind everybody I'll be out of the area from Christmas to New Year's. Unfortunately, unavailable, so I always try to be available by phone, but this case I can't be. So Mr. Dressel will be available if there are any issues to come up that need to be addressed. Any questions from council?
I'm good.